Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing 4 of the dinner recipes that we had this week. The 5th night, we just had some grilled hot dogs for my second son's birthday. I will be linking the different recipes used down in the description box, so be sure to check that out. But the first thing that I'm making is some honey garlic chicken. This was my first time making this recipe. It's really simple. Basically, you just take your chicken, slice it up, and put some cornstarch, salt, and pepper on it. And then you're going to make a sauce that is a combination of honey, garlic, chicken broth, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, and ginger, I believe, is everything that went in it. Like I said, the link to the actual recipe is down below. But you just mix that all up, set it to the side, and then you are going to get started cooking your chicken pieces in a hot skillet. You just want to get them nice and browned on each side. And while my chicken was cooking, I went ahead and started cooking the rest of the stuff that we were going to have with the chicken. So I cooked rice and just served it with some plain white rice. It had a little bit of sauce with it, so it went good over the white rice. And then I also sauteed down some fresh green beans that we've had from the garden. I've just been sticking those in the freezer as they come in. My green bean plants have been loaded down, so I have a pile of green beans. So I'm taking every opportunity I can to eat green beans with our dinner. So now that the chicken's done cooking, you just throw in some minced garlic into the skillet. So you just kind of stir the garlic around, scrape all the little bits off of the bottom of the skillet that may be remaining, and then you're going to pour in the sauce mixture. And I went ahead and put my chicken back into the sauce at this point and let it come up to a boil. And then once it started to boil, I just turned the heat down to a simmer and allowed it to kind of cook some of the water out of it, and the sauce thickened up and got nice and sticky. And the cornstarch that was also on the chicken, I think, helps with that process. So that's really it. You just let it cook. My chicken was pretty much cooked through at this point because of the way that I sliced it so thin. But if your chicken pieces were bigger, you could, let them finish cooking up during this step. That's why the recipe, I think, calls for chicken thighs, because they have a tendency to stay, to not get as dry as chicken breasts do. But I didn't find the breast this time dry at all. But that's what that looked like whenever it was all finished. Like I said, we just ate it with some plain white rice and some sauteed green beans. The next thing that I'm going to be working on are some Instant Pot barbecue style ribs. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this week my second son turned 6 years old, and on the day of his actual birthday, it was on a Tuesday, and I told him I want to cook him a special birthday dinner, and he loves ribs and corn on the cob. So that's what I made for him this night. And since my husband was at work and I'm not great with the grill, I just went ahead and put the ribs into the Instant Pot. All I did was take my ribs, I cut the membrane off the back of it, seasoned it up with some all-purpose seasoning blend that I have, and I popped it into the Instant Pot. I kind of just wrapped them up however they would fit in there on the trivet at the bottom, put like a cup of water in there, and cooked them for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to also be serving this with some just smashed up yellow potatoes. So not really mashed potatoes, because I didn't put any milk or anything like that with that. I just buttered them and kind of smashed them together with salt and pepper. And that's what those ribs looked like whenever they came out of the Instant Pot. As you can see here, I have a little helper who's kind of slathering some barbecue sauce on them so that we can put them in the oven and let that barbecue sauce get nice and crispy. And then these are the potatoes after they boiled. I just put, like I said, some butter in there, some salt and pepper, and then used my little masher to mash these up. We also had some fresh corn on the cob with this dinner, and it was just overall an easy dinner to put together. The Instant Pot, I use it so often. Mine isn't even an Instant Pot brand. It's like an off brand, and I've had it for years and I love it. So that's what this looked like whenever it was all finished up. And now we're going to move on to the next night. So this was a night that I was really like didn't have a plan for dinner and just was trying to use up some things that I had in my refrigerator. It had been a crazy day. We had back-to-back appointments, and I only had like an hour of time between the time that we got home from appointments until we had to leave again for something we had going on that evening. So I had actually picked up some ground beef while I was at the grocery store earlier that day. So I'm just browning up some ground beef, and then I was putting some pasta on to boil. I don't have a specific name for this recipe other than I was just using the things in my refrigerator to make a quick pasta dish. So I seasoned my ground beef up with some Cajun seasoning, and I had a little bit of tomato paste left in my refrigerator from something I had cooked earlier this week. I never use an entire jar of tomato paste, so I didn't want that to go bad, so I just threw it in with the ground beef and threw in another can of diced tomatoes. I added a little bit more seasoning to the skillet and let that just heat up together for a little bit. And then I decided to add in some Greek yogurt, which is going to sound extremely weird, but we have used Greek yogurt in place of sour cream in our house for years. It tastes so much alike. The consistency is a little bit different, but I seriously cannot tell the difference in the taste of plain Greek yogurt and sour cream anymore. So I just buy Greek yogurt. It has a higher protein content, and I can use it in smoothies, but I can also use it for something like this. If I'm cooking a dish, I can use the plain Greek yogurt in it, and it works fine. So once that had all kind of cooked down together, I added my cooked pasta back into it, stirred it around, and that was dinner that night. I guess you can call it like a quick Cajun pasta of some sort. This is what it looked like whenever it was all done. My two oldest boys, they of course topped theirs with shredded cheese. That's like the go-to trick in our house. If they're not crazy about something, let them put some shredded cheese in it, and then they'll usually eat it that way. Okay, so for the last night, we were going to be having some grilled chicken sandwiches. I had a couple chicken breasts left over from earlier in the week whenever I had made that honey garlic chicken dish. And I decided, since I had a little time this day, to make a loaf of homemade bread to go with this. So this is my no-knead bread recipe. You seriously just mix it up all in a bowl like you just saw me doing there and form a sticky dough. You cover it up, let it sit for a few hours, and then you come back to it and you just kind of shape it into a loaf, a round loaf. And it's just a rustic loaf of bread. So that's what you see me doing here, is shaping this into kind of a ball of dough, and then I'm going to transfer it onto a piece of parchment paper and put it into a Dutch oven that's been heating up in my oven, and it bakes for about 30 minutes. And you get this round loaf of crusty bread that makes a nice sandwich bread. And with the chicken sandwiches, we are going to have some roasted potatoes. If you can't tell, I had a big bag of yellow potatoes that I had picked up at Sam's Club a week ago. So we're eating lots of potatoes right now. So I'm just cutting up some little chunks of yellow potatoes that I had washed up good and putting it in this little silicone tray. And I'm going to pop it into my air fryer. Just sprayed them with a little oil, salt and pepper, and they'll cook in the air fryer. And then I'm going to season up my chicken breast. I cut each one of the breasts in half long ways so that they would be thin. And I used this Montreal seasoning blend that I picked up from As Your Standard a while back and kind of forgot about, but I found it in my spice cabinet and it was so good on this chicken. So I'm definitely going to be using this again. And I just put a little bit of butter in a cast iron skillet and grilled these chicken breasts, or pan fried these chicken breasts, whatever you want to call it. And then I started to assemble some sandwiches. we just kept it pretty simple. I had a avocado in the refrigerator that needed to be eaten, so one of the sandwiches had mayonnaise on one side, some smashed up avocado on the other side, and the chicken breast. The other one, we had some Havarti cheese. So just kind of picked your toppings, what you wanted on there. And this made a big sandwich, so I split this one in half for my boys, and they had it with some of the roasted potatoes, and that is it. So be sure to check the description box for all of the different recipes that I mentioned in this video. And I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.